The WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest. Now, it was the final ingredient for the perfect storm. This injury gave the WNBA the data they need to prove that pretend basketball is 100% reliant on one player.
The entire future of the WNBA seems to be collapsing because of one player's injury, and the secret numbers that have just been exposed prove the league is a house of cards. Everyone believed the WNBA was experiencing a massive collective surge in popularity, but what I'm about to show you reveals a brutal truth that executives have been desperately trying to hide. This isn't just a ratings dip. It's a catastrophic failure that exposes the league's entire growth narrative as a complete illusion.
And the craziest thing about this last groin injury with Caitlin Clark is how it's been covered. The day after she had the groin injury, she was listed as day-to-day. And then a couple weeks after that, then she was listed to being out indefinitely. Now, ESPN had August 12th as the circled return date for Caitlin Clark to get back onto the court. And just yesterday, she was listed as a game time decision for today's game against the Dallas Wings. And then after practice yesterday, Coach Stephanie White basically came out and said, like, no, Caitlin Clark hasn't even been practicing. So they changed it from a game time decision to her being out. This has been all over the place. And
in the next few minutes, you will learn the devastating statistics that prove the WNBA's 2024 success was almost entirely dependent on a single athlete. We're going to uncover the shocking details of the multi-million-dollar deal players rejected in a move many are calling the most delusional decision in sports history. And you'll see the evidence of why the league's own questionable choices may have directly led to this crisis. By paragraph 8, you will understand exactly how fragile this entire enterprise truly is.
Last Saturday, the Indiana Felines and the Chicago Bravado played on CBS. How many of you knew that? How many of you guys watched this game? 2 months ago, this matchup would have been the leading story throughout the media. But when you don't have the rivalry, when you don't have the storyline of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, this is just another painfully boring pretend basketball game. Unsurprisingly, the Chicago Bravado got their ass kicked again.
This situation began with a puzzling series of reports surrounding Caitlin Clark's injury. First, she was listed as day-to-day. Then, weeks later, she was suddenly out indefinitely. ESPN circled August 12th for her return, only for her to be listed as a game-time decision just yesterday. But then, in a bizarre twist, her coach admitted she hadn't even been practicing. This chaotic communication was a smokescreen for a much bigger problem, one that the numbers were already screaming.
Right. 35%. WNBA ratings down. All-Star game 35% than last year. Yet you're telling me that it doesn't have to do with Caitlin. 35%. It really makes it difficult for fans of the WNBA in general and Caitlin Clark, like myself, to have conversations, to join a Discord, just to I don't know, want to just talk up the WNBA in general when you can't even give Caitlin the props that she deserves.
And here's what they don't want you to know. Since Clark was sidelined on May 24th, national television viewership for WNBA games has plummeted by a staggering 55%. That isn't just a small correction, it's a complete market collapse. Before her injury, games featuring her Indiana Fever team were averaging 1.81 million viewers. In her absence, those same games are now drawing only 847,000 viewers. This should have been impossible if the league's growth was organic, yet the data was undeniable.
Man, I miss Caitlin Clark. But all I know for sure about the WNBA is that it had better get Caitlin Clark physically and mentally healthy or risk sliding right back off the national map. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest here. I find it difficult to watch WNBA games without her on the floor. I did watch most of the All-Star game on Saturday night, mostly just to see how she would react as an unofficial coach. But guess what that game turned into? All the other players tried to be Caitlin Clark. That's what happened.
This is where it gets truly disturbing. Just last Saturday, the Indiana Felines played the Chicago Bravado on national television. 2 months ago, this matchup, fueled by the Clark and Angel Reese storyline, would have been the biggest story in sports media. But without Clark, it was just another painfully boring basketball game that almost nobody watched or even knew was happening. The rivalry, the storyline, the entire reason for tuning in had vanished overnight.
This league has grown the way it's grown, undoubtedly because of Caitlin. She was out of the All-Star game. The tickets to get into the actual event, half off. People went because it literally got chopped in half. If Angel and Caitlin and all the others grew the WNBA, right, then the viewership should have stayed up right now. During this past weekend, it shouldn't have dropped 35% viewership just because Caitlin Clark wasn't able to play.
The evidence was hiding in plain sight during the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game, which perfectly illustrated this harsh reality. Without Clark's presence, viewership dropped a shocking 36% from the record-breaking 3.44 million viewers in 2024 down to just 2.19 million. Fans were left wondering how a league supposedly filled with stars could lose over a third of its audience simply because one rookie was injured.
I think we can focus on our players. In the union, we got a proposal from the league, which was honestly a slap in the face. And I think we really have to put an emphasis on the players that are in our league right now. But I love to see the league growing. I think, adding these teams in Philly and Detroit, that's how amazing is that the league can grow. But how cool would it also be to have a little bit expansion on the rosters? Let's focus on the teams that have everything set up right now, and maybe focus on the teams also that find excuses continuously to lack investment into their players before we focus on adding more to the grain of people that can't really be sustained.
And that was just the beginning of the nightmare for the league. Here's the kicker that nobody is talking about. That 2.19 million viewer number for the 2025 All-Star Game still represents the second highest viewership in the league's entire history. This single fact tells you everything you need to know about how pathetically low the WNBA's ratings were before Caitlin Clark ever stepped onto the court. The meteoric rise was an illusion created by one person.
I don't know about this one, ladies. I don't know if this was the wisest decision. I really, really don't. I think you guys might be overstating your value just a bit. I'm a fan. I love Caitlin Clark. It's a bunch of players in this league that I enjoy watching. I think some of you may be overstating your value, and it is about to lead to a flat-out strike and lockout.
Now you understand why Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is facing an existential crisis. The woman who navigated the league through a pandemic is now watching her carefully constructed popularity crumble faster than anyone thought possible. The league's dependency on a single player has been completely exposed, and what's happening behind closed doors is even more chaotic than the public ratings disaster. This dependency is the central brutal truth.
While 1.3 million is great, it is the least watched Felines Bravado game since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA dump. But I've noticed a trend recently with WNBA ratings. For starters, games not involving the Indiana Felines seem to be struggling. Back in June, the LA Sparkles played the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces on Ion, 459,000 viewers. 2 weeks later, Sparkles Minnesota Linkers on CBS, 702,000. That seems to be the number that the WNBA is averaging when the Indiana Felines are not playing.
This brings us to the most mind-boggling aspect of this entire situation: the collective bargaining negotiations. Reports have emerged that WNBA players turned down a deal that would have quadrupled their minimum salaries from $66,000 to $250,000, with maximum salaries soaring from $250,000 to over $1 million. In what world does this make sense? In a league that has never turned a profit in 28 years.
We really watching because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money? Stop playing with that girl home. Look, y'all need to start doing is put them emails together with the commissioner, to the referees. Don't put y'all damn hands on Caitlin like that. You can foul her, but don't hurt her. And if you hurt her...
Phoenix Mercury forward Satu Sabally publicly called this offer a slap in the face. Let that sink in for a moment. Players in a league that reportedly loses $50 million annually. A league that only exists because it is propped up by approximately $15 million in annual NBA subsidies, rejected a deal that would have made them millionaires. The disconnect from economic reality here is absolutely staggering.
The WNBA's latest offer to its players, while dramatically increasing the salary cap and maximum base salaries, which a league source suggested could quadruple to at least $1 million from their current $249,000, follows the same model as the current collective bargaining agreement. These ladies wanted a larger salary cap. Boom, got that. They wanted a larger number when it comes to maximum base salaries. Boom, got that. They want a 50-50 rev share split. Ooh, they don't got that. The owner said, we'll give you this and we'll give you this, but this 50-50, ooh, it's looking dicey.
As one confused fan perfectly summarized the situation on social media, so they rejected making million-dollar salaries in a league losing money. These players really think they're worth NBA money while playing in a league that averaged 160,000 viewers for a Mercury game without Clark. The mathematical reality is harsh but undeniable. You cannot demand premium pay for a product that, according to the data, very few people want to watch without its main attraction.
I better not hear anybody ever say again that the Indiana Fever is a better team without Caitlin Clark. Like, do you see this score? Do you see the score? The Indiana Fever lost 95-60 last night against the Phoenix Mercury. Like, they got hoed last night. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. A complete embarrassment. Nobody showed up to play except for Sophie Cunningham. Kelsey Mitchell playing tunnel vision basketball, not wanting to pass the ball to anybody. Lexi bricking threes every other possession. AB was ghost town for 4 quarters. Like, I don't know where she was. Literally, she only had 4 points the whole game. Ari McDonald, Dantes, everybody was Brick City.
This baffling financial stance becomes even more infuriating when you consider the on-court environment the league allowed to develop. Instead of protecting their golden goose, the league permitted a culture of targeting to fester around Clark. From a fan's perspective, it appeared officials were letting excessive physicality go unchecked, creating a hostile environment that many believe directly contributed to her injuries.
No one is watching it without Caitlin Clark. No one watched it before Caitlin Clark. And you can say, oh, Angel Reese. Angel Reese did not bring a single viewer. Okay? Like, she's not good. She misses layups left and right. And it doesn't have to do anything with, I mean, is her social media? No, she just can't play basketball. Okay? She can rebound. That's about it. Caitlin Clark can actually play basketball. And she has the fans that are coming from all of the Midwest, and including Iowa, and all around the world. Young girls, everybody's starting to watch the league. She's getting a ton of men to watch the WNBA. I'm not saying that men didn't watch it before, but there was a large majority, a large percentage at least, of men that didn't watch the WNBA before Caitlin Clark.
Her own teammate Sophie Cunningham has been forced to become an enforcer because, in the eyes of many viewers, the refs weren't doing their job. When Clark was poked in the eye and later knocked to the floor by Marina Mabrey, officials initially failed to eject Mabrey. The WNBA only upgraded the foul after intense public backlash, a pattern that critics say showed a systemic failure to protect their most valuable asset.
Y'all turning down $1 million contracts? You mean to tell me the WNBA offered to pay y'all 4 times more, meaning max players will be getting $1 million contracts? Y'all turned it down? Some of these games are 30-31 at halftime, and y'all turning down $1 million contracts? Are you crazy? Are y'all crazy? Listen, man, look, being stubborn gon' kick y'all in the ass, man. Y'all gotta stop playing games.
Former tennis legend Chris Evert called out the situation directly, asking, when will these ladies realize, accept, and appreciate Caitlin Clark is the best thing that ever happened to women's basketball? This is a bad look for the sport. The sentiment was echoed across social media, with many pointing out the obvious. Hurting the person who is generating all the money is a questionable long-term strategy. As one person put it, they teach you this in the hood, always protect the money. The brutal truth that some within the WNBA seem unable to grasp is that Caitlin Clark isn't just their biggest star, she is the league. The data is overwhelming. Clark was reportedly responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity in 2024, including merchandise sales, ticket sales, and television viewership. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith rightly called her the cash cow and box office. Consider these staggering statistics. The Fever's attendance averaged a record 17,036 per game with Clark. Overall, WNBA merchandise sales rose an unbelievable 500%, with Clark's jersey ranking number 1. In a particularly telling example, when Clark's season debut against the Chicago Sky attracted 2.7 million viewers, ticket prices for a later rematch without her plummeted to as low as $3. The market has spoken. What we are witnessing now is the WNBA's rapid return to its natural state. A barely watched basketball league propped up by NBA charity. Without Clark, the league is averaging significantly lower viewership, reduced attendance, and diminished social media engagement. Games featuring other supposed stars like Angel Reese have failed to generate significant interest in Clark's absence, proving she was the primary draw all along. The search for Clark's substitutes only highlights how irreplaceable she is. The media has scrambled to find alternative storylines. But as one analyst noted, it's a cool story but not the same. The Indiana Fever themselves are a shell of a team without her, evidenced by a humiliating 95-60 loss to the Phoenix Mercury. It was a complete embarrassment that silenced anyone who ever claimed the team was better without her. This brings us to the most dangerous twist in this story. The upcoming media rights deal, reportedly worth $2.2 billion over 11 years, was negotiated largely on the back of Clark's monumental impact. If her injuries persist, or if the hostile environment continues, the perceived value of that entire deal could be called into question. The league's financial future was built on a foundation they failed to protect. Players who rejected a 4-time salary increase have revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of their own market value that now threatens the league's very existence. They are demanding NBA-level compensation while delivering. Without Clark, viewership numbers that are returning to pre-2024 levels of irrelevance. It's a mathematical impossibility that could lead to a flat-out strike or lockout, which would be devastating. Commissioner Engelbert's legacy now hangs in the balance. If she can create an environment where her biggest star feels protected and valued, she might salvage the momentum, but if she continues to allow questionable strategies on the court, while player delusion drives negotiations off of it, she will oversee the WNBA's swift return to obscurity, a fate that seemed impossible just months ago. The message is now painfully clear. The WNBA without Caitlin Clark is just another struggling sports league that most people will simply ignore. The ratings don't lie, the attendance figures don't lie, and the merchandise sales don't lie. Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's present and its future, and every day that passes without her on the court is another nail in the coffin of the league's mainstream relevance.